Hello, this video will be a tutorial for our current 7th grade students, parents who are wanting to know a little bit more about the 8th grade registration process. Throughout this video, it'll be helpful to have your student's green registration packet to refer to. Some of the learning targets we're going to focus on with this video is how the students will understand the registration process, how the students will be informed about the advanced classes, the PBL pathways, and the 8th grade electives, and also about how students will be how to identify what extracurricular activities are available for next year. The registration process started on February 1st, where Mr. Johnson visited the science classes. Each student was given a course selection packet in which they can use to look at different course options as well as identify which courses they would like to take. The parent meeting will be held on February 8th at 7 o'clock in the Stillwell Auditorium, and then the completed and signed forms are due to be returned to Tiger Time teachers by February 9th. What the student will be filling out when they hand in the registration form is 3 different parts. The first is on the first page of the packet, and that's just identifying mainly what electives they are wanting to choose for next year. We will go over this process here in a little bit. The second thing that we want them to fill out is to identify whether or not they would like to participate in the PBL network for next year. It was formerly known as the New Tech Network, but now has changed names to the Project-Based Learning Network. If your student would like to do that, whether they were in it or not as a 7th grader, they have that opportunity. All they need to do is check yes at the bottom of this chart. If you have any questions about the Project-Based Learning Network, there is a frequently asked questions page on page 9 and 10 of the green packet. The other thing you will be filling out is the advanced classes form, which is also on the back of the first page. And this is indicating which advanced classes students would like the opportunity to partake. There's a lot that goes into this, and we're going to have a discussion about this here in a little bit about what's all involved with each of these different classes. So if there's questions that ever come up, please feel free to contact the students' teachers, or also contact counselors or administration. And the last thing that's very important is to have the parent signature on both the front and the back page of this registration form. The form will be handed in just with that first page to the Tiger Time teachers, and then will be used to set up the registration for the students. As far as 8th grade, the required classes are similar to what they had in 7th grade. The core classes will all be the same: English, Math, Social Studies, and Science, and then they will also be alternating PE every other day. For math, their pathway that they will be on for next year will be decided on what they're taking right now. If they are currently in integrated math right now, they will be in pre-algebra A next year. If they are in 7th grade math right now, they will be in pre-algebra B. And if they are currently in the pre-algebra C class in 7th grade, they will be in algebra C. Or if they're taking algebra C this year, they will be taking geometry C next year. The one thing to keep in mind is both algebra C and geometry C will be for high school credit at the 8th grade level. Next thing I want to talk about is the advanced courses that we are offering. On page 11 in the registration packet, there's a checklist that we are encouraging students and families to go through. It's called the Characteristics of an Effective Learners. Please go through this with your student and identify where your student kind of lies within these different characteristics. These are key characteristics that have been identified as being characteristics of being successful in our advanced courses. Some key qualities that I really want our students to keep in mind when signing up for an advanced class is: number 1, do you have a high interest in that subject? Is it a subject that you really are interested in learning about? Also having a willingness to learn, a willingness to go in and learn new things. There may be also a willingness to fail at times, because a lot of times students who have gone into these advanced classes are very advanced students who have gotten A's in past classes. These types of classes will take a little bit of work and may cause a student to get less than an A in those classes. But we're wanting students that really are willing to work and willing to learn and willing to try new things out, take risks. Also being self-motivated. A lot of the stuff inside the advanced classes a lot of the assignments, a lot of the projects are self-guided, And the teacher is there obviously to help and to answer questions, but a lot of it is done through the student and setting up a process through the student to make sure they're on top of everything. Big thing is being able to frequently meet deadlines. If they have had a lot of late assignments in their classes, an advanced class is going to be very difficult because it builds on itself, and missing any assignments beforehand will affect how they do later on in the class. So just some key thing to keep in mind as you are considering advanced courses is not required to take an advanced course as a 8th grader, but something that we want to give the opportunity for our students to do. Our first advanced course we want to talk about is our physical science. There has been a change with our physical science for this next year in that this course is for high school credit. This means that it will be on a high school transcript. It is also a very compacted course, meaning that it is going to combine both 8th grade and 9th grade components in the curriculum. It's very rigorous. We'll be going at a very fast pace. If your student is interested in taking this, we're looking for students who are very dedicated to do well in science and who have done well in science in the past. If science has been a struggle or if science is not an interest, this would definitely not be a course that we would recommend our students to take. It does lead to enrollment in biology for 9th grade. So if they do take this, this will allow them to take biology in 9th grade, which is our advanced course. A good person to talk to about this is their current 7th grade teacher. They are aware of these requirements for next year and have had many conversations with the students already. Our other advanced courses are with social studies and English. Both of these courses are going to require reading and writing at a high level. They're going to have extensive projects, and again, you're going to want to have a strong interest in that subject area. One way to look at the reading and writing levels is possibly look at past Iowa assessment scores. In the past, we've looked at students to have about an 80%, be in the 80 percentile for reading and writing components for both of these classes. So again, we're looking at students who enjoy reading and writing and who do well in those areas and who are willing to put in a little bit of extra work in these subject areas. Our support classes is the next thing we're going to talk about. We have a various different support classes for all different areas of our students, all different areas of support that we can look at. Here is a listing of the ones that we have for our students, and you will notice on the registration form that these have already been written into their form. So, for example, if a student is in ELP, you might have noticed that it was written across from PE on their registration form. Another example is if a student is in reading, we put that across from the PE on that line number 5. For some students, they have multiple support classes, which is just fine. But what would happen then is it would move the other support classes would move onto line 6, which would offer another class that they could possibly take as an alternating class. For those students who are interested in taking a music class, they could put a music class on the alternating that class. If they're not interested in music, they could always put a study hall alternating that class on the 6th line. If anything changes as far as support classes, they will have an opportunity to take those off of the registration form and possibly have other opportunities for different classes. I also want to talk about music, which is an every other day course as well, like our support classes. So on our registration form, if a student is not in any support classes, they could put a music class alternating physical education on line 5. We do have some students who are interested in more than one music class. If that is the case, again, we will be moving that elective onto line 6. So if a student is involved in chorus and band, they would have chorus on line 5 and band on line 6 with the slash. If a student is interested in all 3 musics, they could put orchestra on the other end of band. However, if they are not interested in any other musics other than those 2, they will be able to take a study hall alternating one of those classes. Just as a note, it is not a requirement to take a music class in 8th grade, but we do have those options just like they did in 7th grade. As far as the other electives, I want to have a little discussion about Spanish 1. Spanish is the high school Spanish that we have here at the 8th grade. And the great thing about it is it does allow for acceleration in that they can take Spanish 1 as an 8th grader, which then allows them to take Spanish 2 as a freshman and move forward and get done with their 4 years by the time they are juniors in high school. One thing to remember is that it is a high school course and it does require quite a bit of academic discipline. It is ultimately an advanced course because of that high school component. It will have quite a bit of work with it, and students do need to take on to be on top of things. This is a full year course and meets every day. So if a student chooses to be in Spanish, they will want to put that on line 6 on both semesters, on both sides of the registration form. As far as 8th grade electives, they have a choice of many different electives to choose from. We have art, drama, communications, media, gateway to technology, GTT, engineering, technology, foods, and sewing. If you look on page 5 of the green packet, they will have a good description about each of those different options there. If a student would like to get involved in those, and they are involved in Spanish, they would look at probably putting them on line 7 for either of those semesters there. In this example, we have students signing up for art for one semester and drama for the other. If they are not in Spanish, they can have the opportunity of taking up to 4 electives. In line 6 and line 7, they can put different ones for each semester. For example, this student has chosen foods and engineering technology for line 6 there, and then art and drama for the other line. So that gives a little bit of option if the student is not involved in Spanish or in any type of support classes. A lot of times what students will pick is to have 2 electives, and they can put that in line 6 there, and then choose a study hall, which would meet every day on line 7 there. If a student would like to have an elective one semester and a study hall another semester because of maybe being very busy with their schedule, we'd like them to identify that on the form. So for example, the student would be interested in taking drama first semester and having a study hall second semester, possibly because they have a busy schedule outside of school during that second semester. So please identify that on the form if that is the case. We also want to make sure that the students identify an alternative elective. This is put in there just in case one of the electives that they choose is full or does not fit into their schedule. So for this example, the student has chosen sewing and communications media. They may not be their number 1 choices, but it does allow them to get into an elective if one of those other ones were to fill up and they were not able to get into them. The last thing we want to talk about is our sports sign-up procedures. You're going to receive a letter in the spring that will include the following forms. It's going to include a form for a physical, which all students need to have in order to participate in any sports. You're going to have a concussion form, an insurance form that will require parent signature to participate, and a student signature on the code of conduct. The concussion form and insurance form are all combined into one form. The physical will be a different one that you'll want to take with your doctor and have them fill out. Some of our different options for sports for next year is football, volleyball, and cross country for next year. Football is for our boys, volleyball for our girls, and cross country is for both boys and girls. In the winter we have girls basketball, wrestling for the boys, and then boys basketball. And then in the spring we have girls track and boys track. Each of these different sports usually lasts approximately 9 weeks in length and will allow them to compete against different schools in the metro area. Some other different possibilities for extracurricular activities are very similar to what they had as far as opportunities in the 7th grade. We have the performing arts options with band, chorus, and orchestra. We have our intramurals. We have our play in the fall and the mimes in the spring, with various clubs and various opportunities to do community service. As far as if any questions come up in regards to any of these processes here, please feel free to give us a call in the Stillwell office. If any questions are coming up as far as advanced classes, again, it's best to talk to the student's current teacher in that subject. But feel free to ask any questions. If for whatever reason you have questions after you have handed in the registration form, please let us know. Or if there's changes, please let us know too. We can make changes on the registration form. But we do need that registration form to be in by the 9th so that we can run numbers for next year. And again, we can make changes afterwards. Just try to get that in, have it signed, and have it completely filled out by your student to their Tiger Time teacher by the 9th. Thank you.